almost 11 o'clock, and so we will get started right on time. Myself, along with Lt.Jim Baker, our lieutenant in charge of the Investigative Services Division, and the Investigative Services Division Major, Major Tony Swygart, we are here today to try to provide the information that we can regarding the incident that occurred on March 27, 2013. At approximately 6:15 p.m. when a subject entered the Lima Police Department lobby and motioned for the desk officer to come outside. Two officers, Sergeant David Gillespie and Patrolman Jason Wireman, stepped outside not knowing what the situation was or what was occurring. As soon as they stepped outside, the officers were charged by the assailant. He was holding a large wooden stake in one hand and a screwdriver in his other hand. He attacked the officers, stabbing Sergeant Gillespie in the side of the head. Sergeant Gillespie defended himself and Officer Wireman by firing 3 shots from his duty weapon, striking the attacker twice. The attacker, still holding the screwdriver, attempted to get up off the ground when Officer Wireman, who had already unholstered his taser at this point, deployed it. And while the attacker was incapacitated by the taser, Officer Wireman was able to kick the screwdriver from the attacker's hand. An Ohio State Highway Patrol trooper and an Allen County Sheriff's deputy arrived and assisted in taking the assailant into custody at that point. The trooper and deputy were in the area looking for the subject because they had received information he was suicidal. Other information received has also suggested that he was suicidal. We will not be releasing the name of the attacker today, as he is still an uncharged suspect in this investigation, which is ongoing. He continues to be treated at St. Rita's Medical Center at this time. Sergeant Gillespie was treated for his injuries and released from St. Rita's Hospital. At this time now, we will open it up for your questions.
What's the extent of Dave's injuries, Officer Gillespie's injuries?
Well, not being a doctor, I can't really give you specifics. I will just tell you again that fortunately they were not so serious as to have him admitted to hospital. He has been released.
Was he released last night?
Yes.
Okay. And when you say stabbed, was it, I mean, it didn't penetrate the skull? Was it like a kind of ricochet that went through the skin? Or
Again, do you have information on that? Frankly, Greg, I don't know that because I haven't seen the x-rays and I have not gotten a medical report from the doctor. So I really don't have the information to give you on that.
Is he on leave because of the standard protocol of firearms duty weapons?
Yes, because of being involved in a incident in which he had to discharge his weapon. He has been placed on administrative leave, paid administrative leave in accordance with our policy, pending the investigation.
Where did they fire the, where did you have one round that apparently was unaccounted for? Do you know where that went?
We believe at this point Sergeant Gillespie fired 3 shots, 2 of which struck his assailant. The third struck a building across the street, and part of that round was located.
Any idea, have you guys confirmed if this guy was suicidal or why, or what's the working theory, I guess, you guys have?
Obviously, part of that's still with the investigation, but we've already talked to some family members and other people, and that was the indication. And also, in looking at his history, there's been some incidents of some suicidal attempts as well.
Does he have a long criminal history?
I'm not aware of that.
Is he a Lima man?
I don't think he's from Lima. I'm not sure.
Do you know how old he is?
Yeah, I believe he's 41.
Okay.
Was Officer Wireman injured?
He was not, no.
Is he still working there?
He will be returning to work, being closely monitored and to make sure that he's not suffering from any kind of a post-traumatic stress issue.
How long was Officer Gillespie have on? 4 years?
I would say he has to be, what,
He's pretty close.
probably 18 years, somewhere around there.
And Wireman's pretty new, isn't he?
He has about 3 years on.
Did you say Gillespie was a sergeant?
Yes.
Okay. What are the current assignments that they have?
Sergeant Gillespie is a second shift supervisor, and Officer Wireman is a second shift patrolman.
Do we know the physical condition at this point of the 41-year-old man shot twice?
Again, the only information I can really give on that, Jeff, is that he remains at St. Rita's. He is still being treated. But actually, beyond that, I do not have any update to give you on his medical condition.
What do you anticipate potential charges against him would be? Obviously, felony.
Yeah, at this point, it's too soon to say, but obviously, yeah, he would have a felony type situation, whether assault or assault on a peace officer.
Was he the one, just backing up, was he the one, he was the one that motioned the officers outside?
Yes.
And they went outside, and did he have, like, the weapons, were they sitting outside, or?
There's one in each hand.
Oh, when he came into the lobby, or?
Yeah, apparently.
Okay, so he came up to, like, would imagine the glass window, said, "Can I talk to officers outside?"
No, actually, he just stepped just barely inside the front door of the police department very briefly, motioned for the desk officer come outside, and then immediately stepped back outside.
Okay, so the officers probably didn't see that he had weapons initially, is that?
The desk officer did say that he could see he had something in his hand, yes.
And that was Wireman?
Yes.
Okay. But did he know what it was in his hand, or just?
He believes that, yeah, he saw a screwdriver.
Okay. Was, but he didn't know what the guy's intentions were, I mean, does that make sense? What I'm saying?
At that point, not at all. He had no idea what the situation was.
And basically, did everything happen just right outside that front door?
Yes, directly in front.
Okay. When was the last time an officer was attacked with this severe? Loaded question.
Yeah, to this severity, I really can't answer that. We have officers assaulted much too frequently, but
Just been a month or
this,
two that we had an officer in the hospital for assault.
What was the result of that shit?
It was a physical assault, just
Like a fight?
Wasn't a weapon involved, it was just a hands.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess if I can say at this point regarding that question, Greg, and as Major Swygart said, really officers get assaulted on a much more regular basis than what I think most people in the community realize. And what they do is a very dangerous job, but they still put themselves out there in order to be able to protect the community, in spite of knowing the dangers.
How long have Officer or Sergeant Gillespie? How long have you been Sergeant? Last time I knew he was at Pace or something.
It's been roughly a year, right? Not quite a year.
not quite a
It'd
year.
be coming up on that, yeah.
About a year.
Yeah, not quite a year yet.
Yeah, pretty close.
Do you guys still have 9mm? Is that your sidearm?
Yes.
Yes.
For the calibers?
Yes.
When do you expect to release the thing?
That would be at such point in time that if
He's charged, yeah.
he is charged for a criminal offense.
Do you anticipate that will be after he's released from the hospital?
Most likely.
Any outside agencies being called in due to an officer involved?
No, we are conducting this investigation. Now, when the investigation is completed, it will be turned over to the Allen County Prosecutor's Office for review. And then at that point in time, the determination will be up to the Allen County Prosecutor as to what, if any, criminal charges are filed in this case. He will also, though, receive the evidence and reports and information gathered regarding the officer's actions as well.
You mean he, the prosecutor?
Yes.
And I would imagine there's going to be an internal investigation.
Yes. And again, by policy, though, that will not occur until after the prosecutor's review.
Was the last officer involved shooting, was that the incident with Sergeant Chevalier? Oh, wait,
Well, actually, we had the one in which a ricochet, when an officer was forced to shoot a dog, ricochet harmed an innocent bystander.
oh, that's okay. Were you guys called previous on the phone by this guy?
We received multiple calls from the Allen County Sheriff's Office who was looking for him in the county. Yes, we at that point we knew nothing else about him other than a brief description of his vehicle and indication that he had told a family member that he wanted to commit suicide and that he would commit suicide by cop.
Are these becoming, I don't know if you guys get any trade magazines or anything like that, but they just had that incident down in St. Mary's. Actually, I guess 2 incidents in the last 2 years down there, but the guy came out with a gun after calling police or whatever. Are you guys, on the national level, do you know if there's any trend in, I guess, more of these?
I've never seen any statistics to say that there's more. It certainly seems that you do hear about it more, but again, I don't know if that's just because the media is getting the word out there better, and so you hear about it more, or if there actually are more of these occurring. I really don't know.
Can you go into anything about the mental illness of this guy, or what type of mental illness he potentially has, or what you've heard?
Not at this point, no. Can't really indicate that. I don't know that we're really familiar with what his history is.
You said the calls came, multiple calls came from the sheriff's office about this guy being out there. Would Sergeant Gillespie or Patrolman Wireman, was that knowledge when this guy walked in the door? Had they been informed? Had those calls been made? Were they informed, or did they not get that? That would not have been circulated yet.
Those calls were very shortly before this incident. I know Patrolman Wireman was not aware of it as a desk officer. I really don't know if Sergeant Gillespie knew those calls or not. I know we had officers dispatched to other locations to check for him for the county.
When you say just shortly before, you're talking minutes?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What's standard protocol when it happens? Do you guys look up the picture and disseminate it, or how is that handled? Just a description, or how is that handled?
Depends on the information that we get from the caller. In this case, it came from the Sheriff's Department. The dispatchers had, I believe, very general physical description and a description of his van.
Was anyone with him when he came to the police department?
At the time he approached the police department, no.
And no one was in the van or anything like that?
He didn't approach in his van. He approached the police department on foot.
Oh, okay. There was no phone calls to Lima Police, though, correct? By this guy by himself. He was just from the sheriff's office, or? Am I correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Was any of the calls from the sheriff's office either armed and dangerous, or just potentially dangerous, or what was it?
The Sheriff's Department was relaying information from his wife, who indicated that he did say that he would assault an officer given the opportunity, and she did say that he could possibly have some type of weapon.
Did he have any other weapons on him?
No. Like Chief pointed out, we were dispatched shortly before this to 2 other locations to look for him. There was no indication that he may be coming to our station until I think a call came from them when he actually was approaching our department, almost simultaneously.
What, these wooden sticks or clubs, whatever he had, can you describe them a little bit better? Describe the weapons, even the screwdriver. How big were they?
Screwdriver, it was about a foot long. The wooden, what was described to me as a surveyor's stake, was about 47 inches long.
There was only one wooden
Yes.
pole or whatever it was. About, what's a surveyor's stake? Maybe an inch in diameter?
Inch and a half, I believe, is what they said.
Is that what it was, a surveyor's stake?
That's what it was described to me as. I don't know for sure.
This may be too early, but is there any indication he's on drugs or anything like that at the time?
Nothing that we're aware of now. Not at this point.
That'll be determined, I guess.
Yes.
How long did it take the ambulances to respond? Was there any question on response time?
No, not at all. It was, if not
Short
seconds,
minutes,
it
yeah.
was very few minutes.
Yeah.
Was Officer Gillespie taken away by stretcher? How did he? What was the? Was he knocked out or anything like that, or was he still conscious?
He was conscious, visibly dazed. Yeah, he was taken, I believe, by one of the 2 medic units that arrived.
Okay. Was the other officer, Wireman, was he even hospitalized?
No.
Checked out. Okay. That was my 1,000th question.
Pretty close.
First of all, I want to publicly commend the officers. Obviously, there was a lot of this happened very quickly, and you know, the motto, I believe, of the police department is to serve and protect, and I can't think of a more apt example of that kind of bravery in the line of duty, and I want to thank them for what they did, and certainly want to express to them and their families our thoughts and prayers as they in the aftermath of this situation.
Well, if we have no other questions, that will conclude this press conference. Thank you for showing up today.